You know, most of you have probably heard me talk about this in the past, which is, you know, how we drew up our mission statement and what drove us to the specific points in our mission statement. But since this is going out to many people throughout the company who have not heard the story before, I think it's worth repeating. When we started in business down in Seattle, we applied for a beer and wine license, and we were put through impossible hoops in the process of trying to get that license. They hung us up for about 3 months. Every time we complied with a specific requirement, they changed the requirement on us. We found out subsequently that the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board had a vested interest in stopping us from getting in the beer and wine business. And so they did everything that they could in a systematic fashion to eliminate us from being in that business. We ultimately did get into the business, but prior to getting into the business, they sent an inspector down to our facility and went through all of our books. They checked the price on milk and how we were purchasing bread and what type of markup we had on the goods. And it became obvious that there was some agenda that they were applying here to us. And so it made us think relative to our business how we should conduct our business. And we said, you know, there are lots of skeptics who are going to ask the question, what's the catch? What is it that Costco's trying to do here, and why are they so different from everyone else? They must be selling seconds or irregulars. They must be cheating in some fashion to be able to sell the price at the prices that they do. So we then set into motion several of the policies that all of you accept today as part of the way that we do business, because we said we want to get over all of the objections that people are going to have about how it is that we conduct a business. So in truth, we probably owe that inspector a thank you for having brought that to our attention, because even though we might have developed the same set of mission statement and same set of ethics, we probably would not have done it with the immediacy that we did as a result of that inspector coming in and making that check on us. And it made us more determined than ever to take every single objection to our business and try to overcome it. And that's how we got to our mission statement. Our belief is that if we obey the law, if we take care of our customers, if we take care of our employees, and if we respect our suppliers, that we'll ultimately accomplish what we have to do as a public corporation, which is to reward our shareholders in the end. I want to take each of those particular aspects and touch on them very briefly. In terms of our mission statement, obeying the law. You know, aside from the really obvious stuff, and there's a lot of very obvious stuff, the weights and measures and compliance with that, proper labeling that we have to put on all of our packaging, OSHA requirements, wage and hour requirements that we have to comply with. There are a lot of things that are hidden beneath the surface. As an example, we have to comply with landscaping and with parking requirements in every one of our facilities. It's not uncommon in business to comply in the first instance with the landscaping and then go back and rip it out after you've passed the test. We wouldn't allow that type of thing to happen. And as a matter of fact, the rule in our company is that whatever the landscaping requirement is, we will exceed it by 5%, so that we'll do better than what the law requires in that particular instance. Now, that's probably not a well-known fact, but it is a fact in the way we run our business. More specifically, because we are a company that does business in other countries, we have to comply with the laws of the United States. There's a Foreign Corrupt Practices Act that says that if you do something illegal, they come and take the president and put him in jail. So we don't want that. We're going to try to avoid that at all costs. To give you an example of that, we had a site available to us in a city we really wanted to go into. We had complied with everything that they requested. We had negotiated the deal right down to the very end. And just about the time that we thought we were going to get approval, the water department came to us and said, there's another $200,000 involved. Now, where was the $200,000 going? We think we know, but we're not sure. It was obviously to pay somebody off. We wouldn't do that under any circumstance in any country, but most particularly, it's against the law. We're not permitted to do something like that. Now, that ties our hands in places like Malaysia and other countries, because the other countries and people that are doing business from other countries don't feel those same constraints. So that means that we were shot down in a site that we very much wanted to do business in. Other issues about the law are the Robinson-Patman Act. Those of you who are in purchasing understand that. I would hope you understand it. There are all sorts of implications, most particularly for a company our size, that we have to comply with the laws. And Robinson-Patman has been on the books. It's an antitrust law that has been on the books since the 30s. I just want to spend a few seconds talking about the ground beef situation, because I think it says something about the way we deal with our products and trying to comply with the law. As you know, we recently had a situation in the East Coast where our product was found to have E. coli, and we had a recall of thousands of packages of ground beef. When we heard that there might have been a problem with the ground beef, we went out through the entire system to see if we had any product with those code dates. When we found that we did, we immediately called the USDA, and we called the Food and Drug Administration, and we gave them the information voluntarily. They didn't know we had the samples. We didn't go and test the samples and say, then we'll give them to you after we're done. We voluntarily sent those out to the FDA and to the USDA. They were found to be contaminated. We then agreed with the USDA to recall all the product that was involved. It was a terrible ordeal for our company, just horrible. We set up an 800 line. We took in over 37,000 calls in our 800 line in just 2 days. The press parked down on our front step and refused to go away. In every instance, Richard or I went down and talked to them. They were surprised to see that it was Richard or I that were coming down, because they're so used to seeing attorneys coming down and speaking for a company in that circumstance. We went down and confronted it. We tried to be above board in every instance. When we went through the call, we still were not determined. And by the way, most of the product that we got back had nothing to do with the code dates that were involved, but we didn't bother with that at the time. We just accepted it back from the customer. When we were through, we still didn't feel that we had done enough. So we sent a letter out to over 600,000 members that had purchased that product during a period of time. The USDA was astounded by that action. They had never seen anyone do anything like that before. I think it's illustrative of the type of action that we feel we have to take to keep faith with our customers. In terms of taking care of our customers, obviously it's the key of about what we do. Recently, one of the most significant analysts in the retail business wrote a piece about Costco that said that we had established a position of pricing authority that was at the highest of anyone in the nation, that more customers looked at our pricing and looked at our products and determined that we consistently offered value than probably anyone else in the business. That has been a consistent thing in our business for the entire life of our company. We offer our customer a double guarantee. Part of what we said when we thought about this liquor inspector and beer and wine inspector back in 1983, that one of the objections is going to be, sure, you buy it there, but how do you ever get a guarantee that it's going to work? Well, we said we're going to establish a guarantee on our products that's better than any guarantee of any retailer in the United States, which means that if you're unhappy with the product for any reason, including the fact that the customer may have abused the product, we're going to give a refund unconditionally. And we do. And sometimes we have abuses on it. But in 99 and 44/100% of the time, it's a legitimate return of the product, and it works to our favor. Additionally, we say to our customers, not only are you going to buy the products at the very best price and be guaranteed better than any other retailer in the nation, additionally, if you are unhappy with your membership for any reason at any point in time, we will refund your membership even if it's on the 364th day of your membership. So we call that our double warranty to our customers, that we guarantee every product and that we guarantee their membership to them. We won't make any misleading claims or ads. We don't advertise. But even on our signs in our buildings, you don't see superlatives, you don't see sale, you don't see while they last. It's simply stating the fact, the product, the name of the product, the price. That simple. No misleading facts. We have a minimum and maximum markup on every product that we sell. We won't sell loss leaders because we think that's improper. We think it's a lead-in, and we won't engage in leading on our customers. The only time we'll sell something for a loss is if we've made a mistake on the product and have to clear it out. The maximum markup requires the approval of either Dick DeCercio or myself before anyone can exceed that markup. And as we have jokingly said in the company, such approval will not be forthcoming, so don't waste your time. You know, a classic example of that was that recently our buyers were able to buy about $40 million worth of Calvin Klein jeans. We had been selling Calvin Klein jeans for $29.99. We were the lowest price in the nation. There was only one other competitor in the country that ever sold them for a lower price or at the same price, which was Sam's. They had them at $29.99 as well. And they would have 10 or 15 pair on the shelf, and we would always have 300 or 400 pairs, so they really weren't in the business. We bought this $40 million worth of jeans, and we easily could have sold them for $29.99. Problem was we bought them for $21, and that would have exceeded the markup. Without anyone even getting into a conversation, the jeans were immediately priced at $22.99. Now, do you know how tempting it is for a buyer to make an additional $10 million in margin as a result of being able to go out and knowingly get the extra $8 on that product? We could have done it in a second. No one would have ever known except us. That's what we mean by keeping faith with our customers relative to our pricing. That we continually maintain that pricing authority that Joe Ellis mentioned, the analyst that I talked about earlier mentioned, that we continually stay true to that process. We won't offer any seconds or irregulars. If customers come into our building, they're going to find only first quality merchandise, and as a matter of policy, no seconds or irregulars are allowed. We will not allow any flawed products, which means anything that is not representative of value. We've taken products that have sold millions of dollars off of our shelves because we didn't think it represented the type of quality that we wanted for our customers. I think probably, you know, Jeff Brotman probably put it best one time, and he said, if you hire good people and give them good jobs and pay them good wages, then good things are going to happen. And we really believe that as a company. We think we have as a first obligation to provide good jobs to all of our employees. We take pride in the fact that we're able to pay the highest wages in our industry. There is no one in our business. Our major competitors are paying $2 and $3 an hour on average less than we pay our employees. We take great pride in the fact that we not only can do that, and we can undersell them on every single product, virtually every single product, and we can still make money. That's an issue that we can take great pride in, is anyone can sell goods at a low price, anyone can pay high wages. The trick is being able to be profitable while you're doing that. We have a two-year termination rule, which means that any employee who has been with our company over 2 years cannot be terminated without the specific approval of a senior officer of our company, which ensures employees who have been with us for a period of time that they will not be whimsically dismissed by some manager out in the field. We consider every time, and should consider every time we lose an employee in our company who is a long-term employee, that it's a failure on our part, that we've done something wrong, that somewhere we have not touched that employee and have not taught that employee how to do their job, somewhere we have disenfranchised that employee in our system. We want to provide opportunities for every employee in our company. We want to continue to work and develop a diverse workforce that's representative of the customers that we serve in every country. And we want every employee who comes to work for us to feel that they have a future, not just in terms of a future paycheck, but in terms of the opportunity to grow within our company. And most of all, we want to teach and teach and teach. And as I have told every one of you in the past, any manager who works in our company who does recognize that at least 75 to 80% of their job is teaching doesn't understand what their job is. It's what it's all about. It's our taking everything that we understand and know about the business and teaching our employees, all of the people who work for us, how to do their job better and how to do the job exactly as we would do it if we were able to do all of those jobs ourselves. A very important element if we're to succeed in the future, if we're going to succeed with the 64,000 employees that we have and keep them motivated, then we have to be prepared to teach. Respect for our suppliers. Our suppliers are an extraordinarily important part of our doing business. We have to take and establish an attitude in our business that a deal is a deal. When we conclude a negotiation with a supplier, they can count on us to keep our word. That we're going to pay on time, that we're not going to bully our suppliers because of the size of our company and threaten them because of the size of our company, that we are going to be consistent with them in the way we talk with them. We just recently, one of Vince Carney, Vince is not here today, but Vince recently went to a meeting where a major competitor of ours had sent a note out to every supplier saying, effective September 1st, we are taking an additional 15 days to pay all of our bills. The suppliers, of course, were objecting to that, as you might guess. But the attitude of the company is, if you want to do business with us, that's the rule. They didn't negotiate it. They just told everyone that this is the way it is as of this particular date. We consider that improper and would never do that in our company. If we've agreed to pay the bill in 15 days, then we are going to do everything that we can to pay that bill on time. We want a reputation with our suppliers that we are extraordinarily tough in terms of negotiating the deal. But we're fair, that once we have made the deal stands and they can count on us. We protect our suppliers' assets as though they were our own, and many times we have those assets in our facility. When our suppliers come to visit us, whether they be in our regional offices or our home office or in our warehouses, they're our guests. They're like inviting someone into your home, and they should be treated as a guest. They should be treated courteously throughout. We will not accept bribes or gratuities from our suppliers. We have a very explicit policy about gratuities that is issued every year. Furthermore, we will not allow anyone in our company to bribe a supplier in an effort to gain an advantage with that supplier. So it's a two-way street. The idea is to develop a partnership with your suppliers and not an adversarial relationship. A partnership that's very important. And our suppliers have a right to know that if they are loyal to us, that there will be a review process before they're terminated from doing business with us. That we're not going to allow somebody to come in with a low-ball price and drive that supplier out of our company. Because in many instances, in a company our size, as important as we are, we could put a supplier out of business. We have to be mindful of that. We have to be mindful of how our suppliers deal with their own employees. I mean, we don't want to be responsible for someone having to shut down a factory that employs 200 people in some city in any of our countries that we do business in. Now, as you might guess, there's all kinds of exceptions. I mean, there are always exceptions to every rule. What I stated to you in terms of obeying the law and taking care of our customers and taking care of our employees and respecting our suppliers is true in almost 100% of the instances. But there are exceptions. One exception here is an example with the law. About 10 years ago, the same liquor board that we became so fond of earlier in the discussion put out a rule that said that it was mandatory in the state of Washington that every retailer mark up beer and wine 10%. And then they systematically excluded themselves in the liquor stores from having to comply with that. So obviously it was a ploy to get our prices up so that they could undersell us in the liquor stores. Well, we felt that the law was wrong. We felt we have every bit as much right, as a matter of fact, every bit as much obligation to challenge that as the students had the right and obligation to challenge the lunch counters in Nashville. We thought it was important that we take a position that we were not going to comply with that. So they systematically came and cited us in every site, in every one of our sites in Seattle. Came in and wrote us up. So we sued the state. Took the state to court. When we saw the record and we did the discovery, the record was replete with references to Costco and how are we going to stop Costco from selling these products at such a low price. Well, the case lasted about 1 hour. The state said, would you agree that you won't sell it below your acquisition cost? And we said yes, and the deal was over. So we won that. But that's an example of an instance where you could say, well, you really violated the law. But it was important that we take that position and challenge that law because the law was wrong. In terms of customers, when customers are abusive to our employees, when they steal from us, we're not interested in taking care of them anymore. We don't want them as customers if they're going to treat our employees in that fashion, or they are going to be that disrespectful of our facilities. The same thing is true of our people. If they're dishonest, if they're overcharging our customers, if they're taking bribes, we don't want them as employees. As painful a process as that is, believe me, there is one way to get in big trouble in this company, and that's to either steal or to cheat the customer. We are probably more resolute in that than any other issue. We will not tolerate it. They must be honest. They must be honest in everything that they do. They are a reflection of us in the marketplace. And the same thing is true of suppliers. If they're going to cheat us, and if they're going to overcharge us and pay our employees and bribe our employees, or if they're going to charge less money to our competitors than they charge us, then we don't want to do business with them. There are no annuities in this business. Just because someone has been with us for 15 years doesn't mean they have the right to steal from us. Just because a supplier has been doing business with us for 10 years doesn't mean they have the right to charge someone else less money for the product than they charge us. We will not tolerate it. Everything that we do here should be in the pursuit of excellence. We're not infallible. We're going to make mistakes in the process. We have 64,000 employees and errors will be made. The pursuit of excellence is what we're after, not perfection. Perfection is unattainable, it's neurotic, and it's a terrible waste of everybody's time. On the other hand, excellence is very attainable, it's very healthy, and it's worthy of all of our time, and that's what we should be shooting for. And then the last issue and the last part of our mission statement is that we have to reward our shareholders. We must reward our shareholders. The enterprise must be profitable and prosperous, or nothing else makes any sense. We can be the most wonderful company in the world with the loftiest goals in the world, and if we are not prosperous and do not return our shareholders some sort of a reward, then we're not going to succeed. And the 64,000 employees that we have out there are in jeopardy to the extent that we don't do that.